Welcome to the Internet, live from the Marriott Library at the University of Utah and a high-tech super bunker sub-basement somewhere in the Logan metropolitan area. This is the Red Line Podcast. I'm your host, quote, light metro enjoyer, unquote, Dunstan, and these are my co-hosts.
Kyle, quote, still monogamous, close quote, Holland, and...
Alex, quote, fortified basement bunker fielder. Today we're discussing another strange East Coast light rail in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just how did the Queen City end up with something more like a light metro than a light rail? And where is their transit agency going next? All this after the news.
We really like doing
Brilliant.
city nicknames in these intros, do we?
Queen City. What's a good...
I think we
That's a
should just
good
start
thing.
calling everything anywhere from the Big Apple to the Medium Apple to the Little Apple.
Do you not like city
Based
nicknames?
on
You know Salt Lake
population.
City has a city nickname.
Yeah, the Big Apple.
No, the Crossroads of the West, dumbass.
That's boring.
No,
it's true.
It's true.
But it's boring.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to go steal Portland's of the Rose City or whatever?
No, I'm
City
sticking
of
with the
Roses,
Big
is it?
Apple.
I'll trade you for Logan's one.
So just move to New York already. What slogan?
I think it's a city united in service.
Oh, that's cringe.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh, and you can judge these, but I can't.
I can judge whatever I want.
Do.
Oh, wait. Yeah, the news. I forgot about that. After more than a month of closure, the Monongahela Ink Line is finally back, open. The line had previously been shut down for 8 months, from August 2022 to March 2023 for a rehab project, but experienced electrical issues near the beginning of January 2024 anyways. Hopefully, the newly rebuilt line will continue to serve its important Pittsburgh transit niche for another 150 years. That is the most exciting thing that happened in transit
Is this
week.
the one that's right next to, like, the shared bus and light rail tunnel?
Yes.
That's pretty
That
cool.
brings you from the neighborhoods that are way up on the hill down to the station, and then you can go to downtown from there.
That's pretty smart. And 150 years is a long time. I'm assuming this is not its first rebuild?
Could be.
Yeah. American Transit Agencies, after all.
Uh-huh. In other news notes, if you are qualified, BART is hiring a CFO, and I would just like to say, God, I wish that were me.
Gotta get that BART money.
Oh, man, I want to work for BART. Working for BART would be cool.
True.
That's my whole thing.
Do.
Do. So, this leads us to the question that was not written before me, but what is a Charlotte?
Haha.
I'm on the verge
You're
of quitting.
coping and seething right now. That's what you're doing.
I'm on the verge of quitting. In other words, yes.
To answer my own question, Charlotte is a city that we really should have heard more about, but it's one of
it's
those...
it's like 3 million people, and I never heard of it until I went to college.
Oh, yeah, that is true. It's pretty big.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even think about it, and I never really think about North Carolina either, but
Isn't this
here
the
we
one?
are.
Is this the one next to DC?
No,
Oh.
that's Richmond.
Oh.
You see, where the fuck is it? No one knows. It's like
It's all the way down there.
yeah, it's in North Carolina.
Yeah, to be honest, I was looking at the Google map before we started, and I was looking on the coast for Charlotte. I didn't know it was that far inland.
Yeah, it's way inland.
Huh.
Today you learned.
Everybody from Charlotte is going to, like, obliterate us on the
They're
internet.
welcome to. I'm sorry I didn't know about your city. It seems nice.
Yeah.
The city was named after an 18th century British royal. The Queen City boasts a population of nearly 900,000, making it the 15th largest city in the United States, and by far the largest in North Carolina, which, 15th largest is huge.
It's like a lot of people. It's like San Jose.
Yeah. It's also somehow the second largest banking center in the United States, which I had no clue about.
After what? New York?
After New York, yeah.
Like
Dang.
Bank of America like has its entire headquarters there. Wells Fargo has its East Coast headquarters there. A whole bunch of banks have their headquarters in Charlotte,
That's good for them. Cool.
which is why they have like a really tall skyline for a
Yeah.
city of that size.
Bank office buildings be like
Yeah, let me look up the list of tallest buildings in Charlotte real quick because I don't remember.
banks when they're having a bank measuring contest.
Is there any reason?
List of tallest. Yeah. The Bank of America Corporate Center is 871 feet tall. This is in a city with a metro area roughly the same size as Salt Lake.
Yeah, double Wells Fargo.
Alex, the reason for tall bank buildings is one, bankers benefit a lot more than other industries from having that close in-person interaction in like city cores. So they have a strong motive to stay in the cores of large cities with large job markets near other banks and rich people. And second of all, when you're in the business of money, you make a lot of money, so you can
You
afford
can build a nice tall building.
big money building.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was wondering more why it's in Charlotte.
that's a good question.
Sometimes it just happens, I think.
Yeah,
I
it's
can
probably a
live
bit of
with
a
that.
self-perpetuating cycle, like most other industries in most other cities,
Yeah.
except for Boeing, which is just doing Boeing.
Well, it's just tradition why they're in Seattle, really. Oh, and yeah, also, a fun fact, Charlotte's downtown is not downtown, it is uptown.
Is it
Yeah, good for them.
like on a hill or something, or is it just they decided
Not
to
to
call
my
it that?
knowledge, it's just that's what they called it.
Okay, Uptown Funk.
Good for Charlotte.
Well, as much as 15th largest metro, well, 15th largest city in the United States is, they do have an unfortunate and dubious distinction. City Nerd once called it, and I quote, the spool capital of the world.
Yeah, not good. City Nerd believes that it may be the U.S. like large metro area with the highest percentage of car commuters, and like, just I don't know. Look at it. Just look at it on Google Maps, everyone. This is now the Google Maps podcast, I guess, but you will
Viewers, follow
notice.
along.
You will notice like
The Apple Maps users in the audience.
bunch of freeways, bunch of massive roads everywhere, no grid outside of uptown.
Yeah, I think that's the most interesting thing there, because most other like older, more established cities, their city grid network extends
goes out a ways.
well beyond the city
Yeah,
core.
this is not the case in Charlotte. It's just kind of a mess.
Like this is the exact opposite of a Chicago.
This is the anti-Chicago, anti-Salt Lake City, whatever.
And obviously this causes a lot of problems for every single conceivable mode of transportation, except for the one
except
for
for
which
cars.
Charlotte was designed, the car.
Thankfully, cars are unaffected.
Oh, good. Well, because the whole thing was designed for cars.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, look, they got a rail trail. That's nice.
That's a good thing. Cars are good. Trains are bad. Look it up, lib.
Well, today we're talking about Charlotte because it has an extraordinary light rail system, and that bears some discussion.
It bloody better.
Yeah, it's a subject we've touched on before, but it's high time they get a full episode all of their own.
Too true.
Yeah.
Too true.
You true?
You true. Oh no.
You true?
My mortal enemy, you true.
You know, just looking at Charlotte's light rail line on the map, the big one, not the small one, I can
The
see
small one is a streetcar. So.
Okay, cool. It's just a one-line system then?
I don't know if you can count it as a one-line system when there's a streetcar, especially when the streetcar is like pretty long. It's like 4 miles.
Anyways, so the long light rail line, I noticed that paired with the complete lack of grid connectivity outside of downtown, or really any sort of connectivity unless you're on one of the car roads or freeways, is that the light rail jumps almost immediately into a rail corridor.
Mm-hmm. Well, and other things that are even more interesting than that we'll talk about later.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
So, Charlotte has the kind of boilerplate history that all transit agencies seem to have.
Yeah, I didn't even
streetcars.
bother writing anything down this time.
Yeah, I don't blame you, because
Listen to any previous city episode.
And, wow, it's the same thing. Holy cow, what a surprise.
yeah, we can just hash it out though, and because maybe someone hasn't heard it before, but the streetcars from the late 1800s to early 1900s, private buses until 1976. Boom.
And bust.
So after this average transit story, the Charlotte,
Mid, one could say.
yeah, the from this, the Charlotte area transit system was founded in 2000, which is remarkably recent for a modern transit agency. Buses had been operated by both the city, Charlotte Transit, and Mecklenburg County, which had voted to tax itself for transit in 1998. And CATS, which is a fantastic name, was formed as a merger of the two.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is one of the better names.
This is not a Kakumta. This is not a Gakurta. Greater Cleveland Regional Transportation Authority. This is not a
Hugh-Tran.
Oh well, Hugh-Tran. Well, Hugh-Tran. I don't know. This is a good one.
The ridership and service grew throughout its early service period, largely due to an accompanying service expansion. Local bus service was
Crazy
improved,
how that
and
works.
yeah, I know. What a novel idea.
Shocking.
The local bus service was improved and express buses were added to the outlying areas for the first time. And today it's the main transit operator for Charlotte with something like 50 to 60,000 daily riders pre-pandemic.
For some reason, I was expecting a higher system ridership.
Nope. You'll be disappointed if that's what you want, I'm afraid.
I guess this is a natural result of building a crap ton of car-first infrastructure.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
And having kind of like sclerotic bus service as well.
You can't
It's a
really
good
have
word. I should use
buses go in the cul-de-sacs, can you?
It's really, I don't know. I'm going to shit on Charlotte's buses later because they're not the worst, but they are very much not the best by any stretch of the imagination. And as much as we'd love to be like, oh, Charlotte area transit system, you guys need to get on that. The geography of trying to run buses in this nightmare of a like
No straight or
grid,
connecting
no straight
roads.
lines anywhere metro area is quite difficult. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the frequencies could be better still, but
I just looked up CAT's transit system because I wanted to see if they leaned into the name at all with any cat themes. And this is one of the results that came up. I just sent you guys.
it's a cat sitting. Can we put that on screen?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, this is why we need a slideshow. I'm going to start doing slideshows, but this is going to be the Red Line podcast with slides. Yeah. Oh, here, I'll send you guys the bus map real quick because it's not like great. As you can see, there are no straight lines. Holy vey. Yeah. You gotta feel a little bad for him for having to run service on that.
I would feel bad for the bus operators, yeah. That would be tough to memorize all of those awful turns.
If you thought we had turning signs...
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah, just trying to do like a ring line in this. You can see they've attempted in a few spots, but it's just, the roads just don't go.
Don't do stuff. So...
Some of the radial routes don't look half bad, but I'm assuming that they're on
if the red ones are expresses. So.
Well, I was looking at the green radial routes. Some of those don't look too bad, but I assume they're on like loud, clogged up, dangerous roads.
Arterials, yeah. So, but so they have this bus system and it's doing fine, but they're like, hey, maybe we should have something better than that.
Wow, self-improvement.
So plans for light rail connecting the University of North Carolina at Charlotte to Uptown had been under discussion since the 1980s, with numerous stops and starts. For some reason, Charlotte's government kept hiring people to make new plans, then immediately scrap them or defer building them.
Like within an election term?
That may have had something to do with it. Also, money.
Checks out.
Early plans included a more than 70-mile system with a downtown loop.
Wait, and this is the city of Charlotte planning this?
Mostly.
Cool.
Because,
Nobody else cared?
well, North Carolina was a very conservative state for a long time.
Yeah, checks out.
Now it's kind of a swing state, obviously, but it was not that. And it's in the South, which means that when you have a conservative state, you have even more challenges than usual.
Great. But not for roads.
No.
Roads are okay.
Yeah. So, a plan was finally drawn up that looks remarkably like the system that is being built today after CATS kind of became CATS instead of whatever it was before. The first segment of the line from 7th Street Station in uptown Charlotte to Interstate 45 in the south of the city broke ground in 2005, but there were problems. Building a light rail line, as it turns out, costs a lot of money sometimes, and Charlotte was bitten by the cost snake earlier than most. Throughout design and construction, the projected price just kept increasing. Originally expected to cost a mere $225 million for 13.5 miles, which, do the math, that's a pretty good cost.
That's quite good.
The line ended up with a price tag more than double that of the initial estimate at $462.7 million, which is still not the worst I've seen by a long shot, but not ideal.
No.
Yeah. That's especially not good when you're in a state that doesn't like transit to begin with. I feel like cost overruns are...
Yeah, and it's going to be really touchy about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's been so important about UTA always delivering on time and under budget.
Yeah.
Is that, like, the fiscal hawks have a harder time attacking them.
Yeah. So I guess we got lucky because when UTA started building rail and they were brand new at all of this, they had a total smash hit. Not everybody, I guess, gets that lucky with getting all their organizations and systems and contractors lined up in a row.
Yeah. And this happened for a number of reasons. Number one, they added a lot more grade separations than they expected, which
Cool.
we're going to get into later.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Land acquisitions became a problem because Norfolk Southern is a pain in the ass.
Checks out.
And because this is all built on mostly on NS right-of-way. And bad contractors.
I guess UTA again got lucky with that because we didn't have to buy a right of way. We did buy it from UP, didn't we?
Yeah, but Union Pacific is not as evil as...
Yeah, and we also bought it like way in advance of actually building the thing. We were kind of banking it.
No, Union Pacific, Amtrak has a rating system for railroads that they like versus they don't like of the class ones. And I think both of the Canadian railroads go as number 1 and 2.
Checks out.
And then I think it's BNSF, UP, CSX, and then Norfolk Southern on the very bottom.
Very worst.
So,
great.
UP is kind of a middle-of-the-road one for cooperating with passenger rail. Anyway, yeah, but the Blue Line, as it's now called, it was originally just called the Lynx, Lynx, to go with the Cats theme. And it's a pun on link.
Isn't that Orlando's bus system?
Yes.
And we're just allowed to, reuse the name?
Kyle, do you want to tell me how many transit agencies have the word Metro in their name? Because I think it's 40.
Cries.
So, I can think of 4 or 5 off the top of my head. You have King County Metro, you have Metro in Minneapolis, you have, it's technically WMATA, but everyone just calls it Metro in Washington, D.C. You have Kansas City Metro. There's a lot of metros. So, and Houston, also Metro. So, just move beyond it. But it finally opened to the public. I do like the name, though. Lynx, Lynx, like the cat, because it's cats. And it also says Link. Very good. It finally opened to the public in 2007 after more than 30 years of planning, delays, and construction. It was a big hit on its first day, carrying as many as 60,000 people, and was the first rapid transit line in North Carolina in many, many years, since 1938, to
That's
be
a long
precise.
time.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Of course, 60,000 a day did not keep going forever, but it did level off. It met its ridership projection, so everybody was relatively happy with it.
Woo.
Yeah. But still, the full potential of the line had yet to be realized, and by the early 20-teens, an extension to the north, University of North Carolina at Charlotte, was shovel-ready to be at a much more impressive price tag, $1.1 billion.
Wow.
That's quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long is this extension?
6.5 miles, I think.
Oh my goodness. How's it
So-
so expensive?
Well, I mean, it's like, that's what,
Well,
$180 million
something like that,
a
yeah.
mile? That's
But what
not
are
that
they
bad.
building exactly?
Oh, we'll get into that.
Okay.
But I'm actually of the opinion that this is a good thing. So anyway,
Okay, hit me.
we'll go on. Construction began in 2013 and was wrapped up in 2018, opening the same year. Almost 40 years after the initial plans for Charlotte's downtown UNCC line were drawn up for the first time, there was finally a rapid transit link between the two.
So, what exactly was built between the two?
Oh, we'll get into it.
But not yet.
Not yet. This is our discussion for the end of what makes Charlotte's Light Rail special. This is why we're doing this episode, because otherwise this would be another Norfolk episode where for 20 minutes of hey, they built a really short line and they have one. Isn't that neat? But Charlotte is special.
Well, for one, they have two.
For one, they have, well, sort of.
Nonetheless.
The Gold Line, they also have a streetcar. It's a streetcar. That's all I got to say for it. So the original line was built for $26 million for 1.5 miles in 2015, but they had some problems and it was, pushed out. So it opened later than it was expected to. And then it was extended both east and west in 2021 to serve Johnson C. Smith University and rapidly growing parts of the central city. Future plans include a 6-mile extension once again in both directions.
Cool.
Because it's on, if you look at it on a map, right, it goes right through the middle of downtown and then through, or uptown, whatever, and then kind of through all the most dense neighborhoods. And the plan is to kind of keep that whole thing going.
That sounds nice. Local transportation and such.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things on either end of the streetcar?
What do you mean?
There's the university on one end. What's on the other end?
Just kind of a densifying neighborhood. It's called Midtown. But there's no downtown.
Only
Great.
uptown.
So
Well, sounds like a pretty decent recipe for streetcar success, as previously discussed.
it's been fine. It gets 2,500 riders a day. It's a streetcar. What do you expect, man?
Yeah.
But this brings us to the future. So, number one, they're building something called the Red Line now. So, they've been...
The MBTA Red Line
No,
mentions...
UTA Red Line mentioned, yeah. No. So, kind of back in the early 2000s, they drew up this plan, which had a Red Line commuter rail from the northern suburbs into the central city. The Blue Line, as it currently exists. The the Gold Line as it's going to exist once they finish the extension, and something called the Silver Line, which we'll get to, but that was supposed to be a busway.
The MBTA Silver Line bus
yes,
line
actually,
mentions.
yes, actually. But, recently, kind of in the 2010s, they decided, we're going to build the Red Line, but we're going to make it BRT.
That's stupid.
And then they changed their mind again.
Back to light rail?
No, this is going to be a commuter rail line.
Looking at the map, that
Regional
sounds like
rail
not
line.
a bad idea.
It's really probably going to be more of a regional rail line than a commuter rail line. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Although, I don't know, downtown Charlotte, uptown, whatever, the fucking downtown, I'm calling it downtown from now on because I don't respect you people.
Ouch.
No, uptown Charlotte has a high enough job density that I could see commuter rail actually working.
Yeah, but why have that when you could have better?
This is true.
Are they going to build 2 tracks?
It's going to, I think, run on NS track,
Oh.
which is why I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, that's even more concerning than just having 1 track.
But they have just changed their locally preferred alternative again There are currently no plans as to when exactly it will get built, as far as I can tell.
That's concerning.
Yeah, I think it probably in the 2030s is, I think, the plan. But like,
And the terminal station is like the big railroad terminus. It's just like a little bit outside of town.
no, it's downtown.
Oh, okay.
It is downtown.
You mean uptown?
Fucking hell. Yeah, I mean uptown. Whatever. I'm looking this up. Huh. Good lord. So the plan was to make it BRT by... I needed to look this up because I forgot to write it down. The plan was to build the BRT by 2029, but they scrapped that because the corridor for it got ruined or something.
How'd that happen?
I'm not exactly
Did
sure.
they forget to buy the corridor in advance?
But the things changed, so they changed the thing again, and now it's going to be a commuter rail again. So good for them. I hope they build it someday. The more interesting one, though, if you'll scroll down a little bit, is the Silver Line.
MBTA Silver Line.
No, not. So in the kind of original plan, as we mentioned, this was meant to be a busway because, I don't know, man.
That was where the money was flowing at the time somebody came up with this.
They thought that it would get higher ridership as a busway for some reason,
What?
which I find dubious. But yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So this has actually been recently kind of set into motion as being an actual thing. As you can see here on the map, it's divided into purple, which is phase 1, and pink, which is phase 2. Phase 2 includes an airport line, which is cool.
Nice.
But yeah, this is recently, very recently, like 2 years ago in 2021, been selected as the locally preferred alternative, and they're hoping to get it rolling by like 2026 in terms of construction, according to their website. We'll see about that, of course, but probably project delivery sometime in the early 2030s is the thought for phase 1.
That's cool.
That's cool. It's nice, right? It's good to have, 2 light rail lines instead of one.
Yeah.
But
What's
why
next?
are
3 light
these?
rail lines?
But
4 light rail lines?
shocking.
This is a slippery slope. They might have a functioning transit
Metro
system.
system.
Crazy.
But now we kind of get into what is so interesting about Charlotte's light rail, and why I am quite excited for the Silver Line as opposed to other kind of light rail lines that are currently under consideration of being built.
I mean, the current line seems pretty good. How long is it exactly?
It is approximately 20 miles. It takes just under an hour, so fairly standard light rail. But I want you to audience do an exercise with me, right? Like, go to Google Maps, go to anywhere where the light rail crosses a road, the blue line that is, and tell me what you see. And what I think you will see is a grade separation, or a bridge, or absolute priority. Like,
I see some side running sections.
you will
That's
see
nice.
crossing gates as well. So, like, the very interesting thing about the Blue Line as opposed to other American light rail systems is that it is not an American light rail system.
Because it actually moves.
It is a Canadian light rail system. It is an Edmonton or Calgary light rail system. So you'll notice if you go to places where it's street running, you have a look there, you'll see that they have crossing gates where the road that it runs on intercepts other streets. You will notice in many places when it crosses from one street to another, instead of having to wait at a stoplight, there is a flyover or something.
That's pretty cool. Is that a straight up viaduct downtown?
Oh, did you notice the most interesting part of it? Yes. In fact,
Oh, but only for a little bit? And then there's grade crossings.
it is in the uptown area on an old railroad viaduct that was bought from Norfolk Southern.
Interesting.
So, it's not fully grade separated. It's,
Not even close.
No. But
It is pretty much fully grade crossing.
it is grade separated in all the ways that matter, right? Like, I don't know. I think that full grade separation for a line like this is to some extent a bit overrated in terms of the cost, especially when you can do very strategic grade separations like they have kind of throughout the line and then
True.
give it absolute priority basically everywhere.
Yeah, because it's a light rail. It crosses lots of small streets, so you can just put grade crossings, and it's like fine.
Yeah. And there are some like really impressive viaducts and other infrastructure on the line as well, just because, I don't know, kind of at the, if you want to look at, I don't know if you'll find this, but the intersection of Old Concord Road and Triton Street, there's just this huge viaduct that takes it from one side of a large road to the middle of that road. Very impressive. And these are kind of everywhere throughout the line, giving it priority everywhere that it needs it. And the Silver Line is planned to be built in the same fashion. There will not be any street running. So what effectively we're going to get, rather than a regular light rail system when Charlotte is finished building it out, is a 2-line light metro system.
For practical purposes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, go on, Alex.
Oh, I'm just saying, that's pretty cool. I'm just going all around the map right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got hooked by the audience participation?
Yeah, the audience participation, this is... But yeah, it's. I just find it quite remarkable that of all places in the United States that are going to build, like, you know, a very impressive, very grade-separated, very Calgarian, if you will, light rail system, it's Charlotte, the sprawl capital of the world, according to City Nerd.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Would like to see more of this in
right.
cities of this size.
Like, I think that's something that we could all learn from, is that street running does not have to suck, because you can give it absolute priority and then it doesn't suck anymore.
It's almost like that's almost the only problem with street running.
Well, I mean, the speed limits are unfortunate, but you
the
can
main
actually
problem
get
is the
rid of some of
priority.
the speed. You can actually raise the speed limit by giving your street running light rail line absolute priority. Fun fact, it's 45 instead of 35.
Oh, there you go. Which is, for light rail purposes, as good as full speed.
Quite fast, yes. And I don't know, I think that's very important, because we're coming into an era when we're probably going to start building a lot of light rail again because we have to. And if we're going to be building it,
May as well build it good.
build it like Charlotte. Build it with a high degree of grade separation and
Yeah.
priority so it doesn't suck.
Dude, imagine if tracks had side running.
No, I don't care. I mean, that's great. It does have side running.
Well, the more of it.
Imagine if it had, instead of, because this is a thing that happens fairly often on Charlotte's light rail system, you know, imagine where it crosses State Street, it had a viaduct.
Yeah, that would be even more valuable, I'd argue.
Like, that's fairly common on Charlotte's light rail system, or Redwood Road, or something like that. It had a
Yeah.
viaduct instead of a stupid
So put
intersection.
absolute
we had for
priority
6
on the small
hours.
streets and put physical grade separations on the busy ones.
Mm-hmm.
Where the state DOT will, like, obliterate you if you try and have priority.
Yes, true. So, you know, obviously Charlotte has a long ways to go. You know, as we mentioned earlier, their bus system is quite lackluster. I don't know that there are any particularly good frequency lines in it. I'm sure there's like a couple 15 minutes or something, but
That's not very
that's
good.
not ideal. So, you
And
know.
the other irritating part about this is that with their sprawl first, ask questions later street network design, it's kind of hard to build bus networks that feed these radial light rail lines.
Well, you got to do the Canadian suburb thing where you
Yeah.
just like have a line that just goes through all the stupid cul-de-sacs to the station in both directions, like a stupid little loop. There are just a billion of those in Calgary and Edmonton. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But a lot of people ride the damn bus. So,
Yeah, there you go. Maybe we should try that.
so I don't know. I guess my point is build the Silver Line, have good buses, and other cities who are about to build, you know, trillion-dollar light rail, cough, cough, Austin,
Be strategic.
I don't know. Maybe do some strategic grade separations. Maybe grade separate it through downtown so it doesn't get stuck in traffic all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously not every city is a St. Louis or a Charlotte and just has grade separated rail infrastructure already sitting in its downtown, not being used.
Yeah. A lot of them do, though.
Some do, and you could also just build it.
Crazy.
Like, I'm coming to believe that elevated rail may actually be cheaper to build in some cases, than surface rail, just looking at some projects that are underway in the United States and
Right,
Canada
just
right
think
now.
about like how many grade crossings and stoplights and spot grade separations
And
you have to do.
utility relocations are
Oh,
much more
goodness.
intensive generally on surface running light rail because you have to build this giant slab that goes like 4 feet underground through the entire road.
Right, as opposed to just the every
Pillars.
few dozen feet the giant pillars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Also, I don't know, at least you street view in downtown Charlotte and tell me that elevated rail destroys the character of a neighborhood. No. No.
Owned.
It does not. Get owned, liberals. Or conservatives, whatever. People who don't like trains, get owned.
Well, I gotta say, I would much rather have a nice elevated rail viaduct
Oh
than the
man,
stupid,
I wish we had an elevator.
than the stupid like grindy surface running rails that make all the weird noises.
Man, wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice.
And I don't know, the other lesson I guess to be taken from Charlotte is that rapid transit, even surface level rapid transit, and good bike infrastructure can in fact coexist.
Rails and trails.
Rails and trails. What you will notice for most, not all, but most of like the Charlotte light rail alignment, there is a bike pedestrian path running right next to it basically the whole time.
It turns out doing that was never actually that hard because the people who made the rail corridors made them extra wide because you only get to build them once.
Well, and also you used to build like a 4-track main everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's true. So all you have to do is think ahead for more than 6 months in advance of the opening date of your project and think, okay, what if we left space for rails next to this bike path? What if we left space for a bike path next to these rails?
What an
Cough,
idea.
cough, LA.
This has never happened.
Cough.
Yeah. It's really difficult nut to crack, guys. Not. So,
I think my favorite rails and trails are still the BART viaducts.
yeah, those do kind of
Yeah,
slap.
the landscaping under those is really nice.
Also, I don't know. Charlotte's very good at TOD. You'll notice kind of along the entire southern alignment, especially closer to Uptown, like that crap has densified up the wazoo, and that's very good.
That is very good.
Like, I don't know. Not a place I thought I'd ever be like praising on this podcast, but Charlotte, you're doing pretty good. You could do
Yeah.
better with buses, but good for y'all.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than I thought it'd be, to be honest. Having just learnt what Charlotte was.
Yeah.
Yeah, after you asked the big question.
What is
Yeah.
Charlotte? Yeah. At grade separated light metro tier, we have Zach Adams, $69.69 per month. At Silverline tier, also known as $35 a month, we have
The
generic
MBTA
GT.
Silver Line.
At the Charlotte Red Line tier, regular frontrunner, we have Curtis Herring, Devin Zander, Micaiah Ransom, Mike Christensen, and Phobos2390, and Tony Stunts. Wow, that expanded.
Well, at the streetcar, well, I guess not the streetcar tier, because that would be the S line. Wait, do we have an S line?
We don't have an S line tier.
Yeah, we don't
No.
even have
That
an
would be
S
what,
line
50
tier.
cents?
I guess.
No, this can be
Well-
the Charlotte streetcar tier as their next best piece of transit.
Yeah, so at that tier, our red line tier, $5 a month, we have Brian Smith, Christopher Whaley, DJ
Hi, Will.
Watkins, thank you, Elijah Kinsler, G4, Jacob Whitecotton, Jesse Mayo, Reluctant LA Resident, and Robert P. Walsh.
At the entire Charlotte bus system multiplied by 5 tier, $3 a month, we have Alex Dykelski, Alice MYOB, Ben Busath, Bradley Bondi, Ethan McDonald, Evelyn, Gonzo12, Jack McCoskey, Martine Hecker-Martinez, Matt Gray, Oliver, Seth, Sky Lukowski, and Zach Verstaat.
And at future Charlotte Green Line tier, we have Benjamin Wood, Joshua S. Horvath, and Capel, or Capeel, or something else. I don't know. I always am confused about how to say that one. Oh, also, did I tell you guys we hit 666 subscribers today?
That's funny. Did he tell Twitter?
My
I did tell
brother,
Twitter.
Cool.
my brother actually texted me today about that. I had
That's
no idea.
funny. I'm glad other people are watching our subscriber count for us.